Hi guys, so I am currently in the air flying back to the UK right now, so I thought that I would cover this slot this week with another Best Things in Rwanda video. So if you didn't see the last one, what this is under my community tab on my channel, I ask questions. So I poll people about what their favourite things are in Rwanda, and that could be food, it could be cities, anything you can think of. And then we go over the results. So this week, let's kick it off with what is the most iconic symbol in Rwanda. Now, a whopping 101 people voted in this one, so I think it's becoming a bit more popular. If you'd like to participate, you can just go to my channel and click the community tab and see the polls. If you've got a phone, you will probably see the polls going through in your feed and you can just tap on the answer. Okay, so put your guesses in. What do you reckon is the most iconic symbol of Rwanda according to this poll? Let me just do a little drum roll. Okay, so this one I find kind of interesting because I don't know about gorillas, because like Uganda's got gorillas and DRC's got gorillas. True, most people come to visit Rwanda, they go to see the gorillas and then they leave again, which is a big problem for tourism because that tends to be the only thing people come to see is gorillas, whereas there are lots of other things to see as well. I've done a couple of playlists about that, I'll leave them below. Agaseki baskets are interesting. Agaseki baskets are woven baskets that at weddings or birthdays or celebrations you tend to give them as gifts with things inside. So the Agaseki shape is really associated with Rwanda. It's even on the national emblem of Rwanda, so it's very deeply rooted as an icon in Rwanda. Yeah, I shouldn't laugh at this. I know every time that I mention the National Convention Centre, I have to follow it up with one of the most expensive buildings in Africa because it costs $300 million to build that. It is very pretty. So when there are events going on, it's used as a convention centre and they light up the building in different colours depending on what the event is. So if somebody's visiting from another country, they'll light it up in the colours of that flag. If there's a big sporting event, they'll light it up in the colours of the winning team, so that's kind of cool. But still, kind of considering how much it cost to build, it's currently ranking as like the least iconic symbol of Rwanda at the moment. Not my fault, I didn't vote in this, but yeah. So I don't get to vote in these. If I create the poll, I don't get to vote, but if I could vote, I would probably go for the Imigongo, just because it feels like such an iconic art style of Rwanda that, I mean, you see similar styles in other countries like Burkina Faso especially, but you don't see exactly that style and exactly those patterns. So Imigongo is a very traditional style of artwork in Rwanda. It was traditionally used in sort of medicinal huts and magic huts like shamans' huts. And it's usually traditionally made from cow dung and it's usually black and white. I'll get onto this a bit later because we've got another poll about Imigongo later on, but it's just very iconically, recognisably Rwandan. Once you've seen it, you know what it is. It's kind of trippy. But yeah, we'll come back to this later. It is majorly warm here today. I'm sorry if I'm looking a bit sweaty, but the weather, we've just entered the dry season and it's a lot. So the next question is, which is your favourite lake to spend a weekend at in Rwanda? So drum roll. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. Lake Kivu is stunning. I mean, it's just an incredible place. And it also stretches the whole length of Western Rwanda. So there are so many places to visit along Lake Kivu. So you've got, especially Gisenyi is a big one. That's kind of like the party town. And Kibuye, which is like the really chilled out place just to go and spend a weekend. It's just stunning. And, I've done videos about different places on Lake Kivu. You can go and visit the bats on Napoleon Island. A boat ride over there is amazing. I'll leave some links below if you want to see more about it. So I'm not surprised at all by this result and I agree with it. But I don't know, I feel like maybe I'd switch over the bottom two. If you'd asked me like at the beginning of the year which one, I would go with Lake Muhazi as number 2. It's very well known and it's very easy to get to from Kigali. So it's not a long drive to get there. Really beautiful lake. But I'd have said that before I visited Lake Ruhondo. So I went to stay in a treehouse on Lake Ruhondo a while back with some friends. So Ruhondo is part of the Twin Lakes. So there's Ruhondo and there's Barreira. And you can stay on either of those and go between the two and look at them, because Barreira is slightly higher than Ruhondo and you can see both of them. It's just absolutely beautiful. And before I went and stayed on Ruhondo, I would have said Mahazi, but now that I've been there, I actually think I prefer a weekend at Ruhondo would be nice. Yeah. Okay, so the best town to visit that isn't Kigali. All right. I really need to stop doing that, don't I? Yeah, so if you haven't been to Rwanda before, you might not know, but every town has got two names. So it's got the name that it was known by sort of pre-94, and then it's got sort of the name that it's known by today to kind of disassociate from the older names. It's kind of like the way that the flag changed after 94 to kind of break those associations. But the names that we tend to use now also tend to be the same name as the district. So it's Kironge in Kironge district and Hue in Hue district. So it can get a bit confusing because you're not entirely sure whether people are referring to the town or the district. And a lot of people still use the old names. So pretty much everybody still says Gisenyi, but Butare, pretty much everybody now says Hue. So it does get a bit confusing. And if you're going to a bus station hoping to go to Gisenyi, a lot of the buses will have Rubavu on the bus. So if you don't know that that's Gisenyi, it gets super confusing for tourists. So anyway, Gisenyi has come out top on this poll and I completely understand that. It's got this beautiful beach just behind Serena Hotel. It used to be free, but I think now they charge something like 15,000 to use it. So, yeah. But there's also a hotel called Nirvana Heights, which has an infinity pool, which is just a swimming pool where you get to the edge and you're looking right out across Lake Kivu. It's gorgeous. It's a really nice place. A lot of people go there for parties because it's kind of a music scene. I really like Kibuye. I know it's scored pretty low in this poll, but I kind of have a very soft spot for Kibuye. You know, as a writer, if I was going to go on a writing retreat somewhere nice and quiet and beautiful, that would be my pick. And there are some nice places to stay there. Riza Village in particular. So Musanze is often underrated, I feel. Like, I know it's come out second in this poll, but it's kind of lower by a long way in the ratings. I like Musanze. There's a lot to do there. People mostly know it because that's where you're heading if you're going to see the gorillas. But you can also go and look at the golden monkeys, trek the golden monkeys, which is a very similar experience. You're still trekking up the volcano to go and see these monkeys, but it is a lot cheaper. So if you're kind of umming and ahhing about spending like $1,500 to go and see gorillas, consider the golden monkeys instead. So there's that. You can canoe down the river there. There's a company called Kingfisher. I'll leave the link below if you want to go canoeing down the river. There's some caves, and I haven't ever been to the caves, and I do want to go and see those. So there is quite a lot to do in Musanze, and it's where a lot of people live outside of Kigali. So a lot of expats, if they're not living in Kigali, they're usually either living in Musanze or they're living in Gisenyi. Those are two kind of popular destinations. So the other one on here is Hue. So Hue is basically the student town. It's where the University of Rwanda is based, and it's a big student town. I don't know if there's a huge amount to actually do there, although there is an ethnographic museum, which is really nice. It's like the history of Rwanda from like ancient sort of Neolithic times through to modern times. It's really interesting, but it's more sort of somewhere that you pass through on your way to Nyungwe Forest, or, you know, pass through coming back. Yeah, it's an okay town, but I don't think it's got masses of stuff to do there. So for me, I'd probably vote for Kibuye. I really do like it there, but I fully understand why Gisenyi won. It is a beautiful place. So another poll that I asked was, if you're in Gisenyi, what is your favourite thing to do there? So I'm really going to stop doing this now. Just here are the results. So hanging out at the beach at Serena is definitely up there as number one. The beachside bars come very close second. There is an area called Lakeside, and it's just a row of bars on a small slip of beach. And yeah, it's really nice. It gets very, very lively there in the evenings. People just go and drink, but during the daytime, it's quite quiet. You can go and get sambaza, which are these like deviled whitebait little fish that you can eat fresh from the lake. Yeah, it's a really chill place just to sit and have a beer. I'm kind of sad about this next one because there used to be this incredible tiki boat there, which was run by Inzu Lodge. And I went there with Harris and Rob. We had a fantastic time. I'll leave the video below. But my friends said that it's not happening anymore, so I will double check, and if it has closed I will leave it below and let you know that it's definitely finished. So it was really, really nice when it existed, but apparently the cost of running the tiki boat wasn't really worth it, like the staffing and the drinks. You couldn't really ask tourists to pay enough to make it cost effective, which is really sad because it was a fantastic idea. But yes, and then the last one on there is the infinity pool that I mentioned at Nirvana. That is one of my favourites. I gotta say, I know it's kind of like ranked really low there and the customer service can be a little bit, but I really do like that pool because you can spend the whole day there. You can just like eat there, you can drink there, you can swim there. And then in the evening, if you want to, you can just sort of wander down the road to this restaurant called Paradise Malahide, which is right on the lakeside, and you can see the fishing boats going out. And I do quite like Nirvana Heights, so I will probably pick that one. Now that the tiki bar's gone, I'd probably pick that one. Next up, we've got which is the best animal at Akagera Park. Unsurprisingly, the lions have come out top. The lions arrived here, I think, was it 2000 and, I don't know when it was it 2018? I'm guessing it was 2018, that the lions were reintroduced to Rwanda, and they've been doing really, really well. I've never actually seen a lion there, but then I've never seen an elephant there either. I had a fantastic friend called Emmy. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a tour guide for Akagera, and every time he went there, he saw elephants, and he took great delight in sending me a picture of him looking at elephants every time he went there. Every time I went there, never saw an elephant. So yeah, apparently they do exist, but who knows. Elephants come in second. Rhinoceros, I've never seen a rhinoceros there either, but I've seen lots of hippos, and I have to say I absolutely love the hippos. There's this guy called Casual Geographic, who is a nature channel on YouTube. Go and check him out because he's extremely funny. And I think he kind of calls them African aquatic murder horses or something like that, because they do kill a lot of people. Statistically, hippos are really, really dangerous. And I had a friend who was camping in Akagera and got chased by a hippo once, and that's not good. But yes, the reason I like them is despite the fact that they are cold-blooded killers, they are really cute. Like you just see them in the water, like looking in the water with their little hippo ears, and I really like hippos. So when you do camp, you can go to a place called Lake Shikani, which is a campsite right down on the lake in Akagera, and if you camp there, all through the night you hear the hippos sort of singing and kind of they make like a really deep-throated sound. I like hippos. So last up, really quick poll. Do you prefer traditional Imigongo, which is mostly black and white, or do you like the new style, which is full of colour? So traditionally, Imigongo, you almost always see it as just black and white, which is like really, really trippy. But historically, it was black, white, grey and red. So there was red in it and grey in it sometimes in the past. But over the past few years, there's kind of become this new style, which is really, really bright colours and not always traditional patterns, but more sort of Dali-esque kind of swirly, abstract patterns. So I just wanted to ask people which one they preferred. I feel like I might have skewed this poll slightly because I did give my opinion in the comment, and I'm sorry, I should never do that, but, well, at least until the results are in. But overwhelmingly, people said the black and white was better. I agree with that. I really think it's visually very, very, like, wow, kind of trippy. You can see why it was in the shamanic magical huts, because it's a bit otherworldly. Whereas I like the evolution, adding colours and everything and making different styles and patterns, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't have that same kind of woof, wow factor for me. So yeah, let me know, has anything in here really offended you? Is there anything you feel very passionately about that, should have won that didn't win? Or is there anything that you feel like we should have added? Is there an option there that would have been better or would have been a clear winner if we'd had it? Yeah, let me know your opinions and your comments and your thoughts below. And yeah, I like doing these videos, they're quite good fun.